Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, hello, my Next Level friends. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Artist Next Level podcast. This is actually the second episode of 2020, so I'm very happy for that. I hope you enjoy the first episode. If you missed it, go back and check it out. It's a super good episode where I talk about like the top 10 things that you want to look at in 2020 as you plan your year as an artist. But my friend, this week I have an awesome interview to share with you with Aneta Ten. Aneta is an artist, Bulgarian, British artist, who is a fan of this podcast, and she has been listening for a while, watching also all my content in social media, and she has put things to practice herself, and great things have happened. So it's a great story, again, to motivate you, to put to action the things that you learn in this podcast and the content that I put out for you, my friend, every single week. Well, before I do that, I also want to let you know, just before I forget, that this week, the week of January 6, 7, 8, all the way to the 12th. This is the last week to join the Art Business Growth Challenge. Maybe you have seen me posting about it. You may have heard me mention this on previous episodes. But let me tell you, this is the last week to join the challenge. It is a 10-week challenge that I do with Dr. Aneta Gomez. It's from January to March. Actually, we already started this week with the introduction. So you can still join, but doors close on January 12th. You cannot join anymore. The challenge goes from January to March. We are working with serious artists who want to create a sustainable art business, to sell more art, get organized, and be effective in their marketing. So my friend, if you're a serious artist, interested in working with us, along with an international group of artists, from around the world, from over 25 different countries who are doing the challenge, my friend, go and sign up today. All you got to do is go to www.theartistnextlevel.com 2020. Let's work together to make 2020 your best year ever when it comes to your art career. Achieve your goals. Those things that you have been thinking about, that you've been writing, or, just processing on your head, the things that you want to achieve this year, whatever those are, we can help you get there, create the master plan that will take you from where you are now to where you want to be. Again, just go to www.theartistnextlevel.com/2020. And well, my friend, as I mentioned today, I want to share with you my interview with Aneta Ten. Aneta Ten is a self-taught Bulgarian artist. In 2010, she moved to London, UK, where she has lived and worked ever since. She's a mother, a teacher, a student, and an artist by heart. Her work is influenced by the 5 elements concept referring to the ancient Greeks. She is an experimental artist as well, and I am very excited to share with you my interview with Aneta Ten. Well, hello, Aneta. How are you today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am doing great. Welcome to the Artist Next Level podcast. We are very excited to have you here with us. Our friends here in the podcast are going to have also a great time listening to your story. And more than anything, I'm super excited because the way this conversation that we're here right now happened is because Instagram, right? Instagram, which I've been talking about Instagram for a long time, using it as a way to connect. And more and more, there's no day that passes by that I'm not connecting with somebody that I did not know before. And that is the case with you because you send me a message through Instagram and say, Sergio, I've been following what you're doing. And, I've been taking some action and some good things have happened. So that started the conversation, and now we're going to talk a little bit about that because I think that is very, very cool. But before we do that, I want to ask you, Aneta, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, your background story. So where were you born, and how did you become an artist?
Okay. In short, I was born in Bulgaria, and in Balkans, as some people know it. And I was in kind of a limbo in between what to do at that age and kind of that stage of my life, first of all, because I was born in the 1980s. Let's start from there. 1980s is known as in the Balkans as like Iron Curtain, where you don't get enough information, everything's closed off. So people kind of tend to think in one way. So an artist, as I was, I think from birth, because with me it's intuition and it's something that I was kind of born into. It didn't sit well, I could say, with my practical parents. One of them teacher, the other one is a chemical engineer. They wanted in a way to protect me from that, and they said, "Oh, an artist. Okay." I don't think he should pursue that career. It is a bit tricky. You're well off into something else, maybe a doctor or a teacher or a chemical engineer.
Yeah.
Encouraged into that path. And I never came out basically to my with this one of my kind of passions and dreams to become an artist. What can I say? I've always been a dreamer. I've always been kind of a happy-go-lucky person, and it's one of those people that you have the pink glasses with. You romanticize life. You see everything in pink. It's still that way in a way, because I do have some experience behind my back now. In reality, it's different, but in a way, the responses to life situations and stuff that happens in everybody's life, it's helping to kind of step back and say, okay, that happened, it happened for a reason. So I shouldn't kind of dwell on it for a long time. But I became an artist really after I went through a kind of emotional limbo. That was after I had given birth to my first child. And a bit later in life, I was in a situation where people would describe it as depression, anxiety. I've always heard about it, but I've never experienced it since till then. So for me, it was, in a way, I could say right now, a chemical imbalance, because that's what it was, basically. And I was looking for a way, as well as a medical and emotional release. And I remember 2018, which wasn't a long time ago.
Right, just last year.
Last year, exactly. Sitting on a balcony and having coffee and thinking about my life and what to do with it. And I was stuck in a career that I was enjoying before, but it was kind of getting thin, and I wanted something more. So that was my curiosity and my kind of artistic or creativity talking, that I needed to do something. And I happened to come across a social account on my social account, one of my social accounts, a post of a lady from India that happened to pour paint, as they say, on painting on the canvas. And she was making these amazing figures and structure and color and fluidity that was just, it took me. And I was since then hooked. The same day I went out and I bought tools and paint and stuff I didn't know anything about, and I spent 90 pounds. 90 pounds was something I didn't know what I was getting into. And the same day I started painting, or throwing paint on the canvas. I didn't know what I was doing. But as soon as I did that, I felt that emotional release. And soon after that, I was smiling for the first time maybe in 1 year.
Wow.
And I felt so light and kind of, I don't know, it's just the chaos in my life seemed to have an order on that canvas. So I was thinking, this is it. This
Yeah,
is what
that's
I
what.
want to do. This
That's
is
cool.
my therapy, my personal therapy.
Yeah.
And through that, I went out from my depression, from this emotional limbo that I was in.
Hmm.
Um, and soon after, I continued experimenting and doing stuff. I realized I want to be an artist, a fluid acrylic artist,
Hmm.
full time.
Awesome.
That's basically it.
Well, what I love about the story, Aneta, is that I think there's a lot of people, a lot of artists just like you, and your story, I think, can resonate to a lot of artists out there who I think is not typical. I mean, it's something that happened, I think, to a lot of young artists with their youth when they told their parents, I want to be an artist. I think most parents, as I talk to so many artists, and even my parents, they said, but an artist, what are you going to do with that, right? And so for many artists, that was kind of a big hit, a big weight. Like, how do you break the news when you're young to your parents that you want to be an artist, right? But as you said, once an artist, always an artist. And if that's something that you have in the inside, and that's something that as you pursue your life and you went on and even doing other things, you always had that in the back of your head, in your subconscious, I think, reminding you every day that there was something else out there, right? That was going to fulfill you more than the job that you were doing. And then you come to that point, just recently last year, in which you said, this is it. You see something in social media and say, hi, I can also be an artist. I can also jump in and do what I want to do. And then you try it. And then there's that feeling of freedom and release, as you mentioned. And that's what happens in the studio, right? I mean, that's what the studio practice is about, is when you are an artist, you walk in the studio and you don't feel time passing by, right?
Yeah,
You,
exactly. Being yourself.
you
You're
can do
just
it hours and hours and hours. And
yeah.
all of a sudden you'll realize, oh, geez, I've been doing this for, 6 hours in a row, right? And I think that's what makes the difference when you are operating in your passion, whatever that is, maybe art, maybe singing, maybe, you know, writing, any type of creative endeavor. If that's something that you have within, you will discover that it fulfills you in a way that nothing else does.
Yeah.
So now, Aneta, so take us now in the story. So now you are trying it, you're working at it, you're figuring out what you want to do, figuring out the materials. So then how do you then go to the next step and say, okay, now I need to learn a little bit about the business of art, right? As well.
Yeah.
How do I make this into a business? So tell us, how did you find out, about the things that we are doing here in the Art Next Level? Or, how do you end up or find my content, and what is it that you saw first?
Um, I soon okay. So after I started experimenting, I kind of pretty much very quickly went into the art world, and it was through friends and that
Mm-hmm.
are in the same kind of interest, that had the same hobby or interest, because
Yeah.
by then or at that stage it wasn't much than a hobby or an interest.
Right. Right.
So I kind of started getting into kind of communities that deal with art, that do art, that talk about art, and
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of events around it. I went to a community, kind of a creative group,
Mm-hmm.
um, and that was my first step into that community of art that allowed me to have my own space and to kind of, go into my art and concentrate and focus.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, of course, you get the networking and the collaboration with other creatives
Mm-hmm.
that gives you the opportunity to kind of make things happen, basically.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I got my first kind of group exhibition through
Mm-hmm.
that community group, and it was in February 2019, which is this
Oh
year.
wow, listen, yeah.
That
Exciting.
was my first and very successful exhibition. And when you practice something, it doesn't matter what it is. It may be a sport, it may be something that you're
Yeah.
not as that, but you're passionate about, and
Mm-hmm.
you see results that actually drives you to the
Yeah.
next step, and that's actually makes you think that, oh, I can do that. I can actually go out and say, this is me. I'm an artist. So that was my very big push to kind of say, okay, I want to do this full time. I want to make it as an artist. I want to do it as my business. And since then, I had 7 exhibitions.
Awesome.
About 3 fairs, 1 expo, 1 single exhibition. Super. And the year has not finished.
Got in a row.
Today, except talking to you, I got an agreement from a gallery in Portugal, in Lisbon, to represent me for the next 3 months, which is, I was
fabulous.
So that shows that if you focus and you really want to do something about your passion and your love, and you kind of give everything 100%, you can do it. You can do everything. Basically, it's just a mindset. So when you decide that you want to do something, and that something, for example, is art, you have to change your mindset. And mindset changing into a business, and business, when you decide that is something that you want to do 24/7, it's changing your mindset. And when you change your mindset into that in that perspective, it opens a lot of doors. So social media and internet, as you always say on your podcast, is a great way to start a conversation, to approach someone that you feel close to. And I met you through Instagram, and I approached you through Instagram. I connected with you because it was relatable. I could relate to you because I could see that you are kind of approachable, friendly person that I could talk to without having to deal with, familiarities and stuff like that. And I could be myself. And that's the other side of being an artist, being yourself, being honest and being out there, showing your emotion, because art is an emotional expression of what you are. And you shouldn't, hide that or kind of tweak it to manage or to fit somebody else's perspective of you. So that was my first approach, because yes, I feel related to you, and I feel comfortable with you, and I can talk to you.
Thank you. Do you remember one specific episode or something that you saw it like, wow, that sounds like it resonates with me. That's something that I can take and apply.
Yes, the first time I think I mentioned it on our correspondence that when you get into that kind of mindset of this is going to be my business, and on top of that you have your personal life. You're, for example, like me, a family of 1 parent to 2 children that you have to manage every day with everything that comes with it, as well as having a part-time job, because plan B for me is a plan B. It's really important as well. You basically you have to know how to manage your day and how to be more efficient to the maximum, so you can benefit from the 2 jobs that you're having and everything else, your life. And I remember receiving one of your emails about managing your day and managing your tasks. I think it was with the doctor.
With Dr. Janina?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes, my wife.
Because I don't remember her name.
Yes.
Yes, and she mentioned that it's good to kind of prepare yourself for the week, for the year, and so on. I haven't reached the year yet, but I have reached the week and a day-by-day tasks that are coming my way, and something that I want to start engaging with, a new task, for example. And I've kind of got it down to 3 tasks that I do every day.
Yeah.
I used to, before, as I said, before I got this purpose in life.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is a purpose for me. It gives me purpose in life, to kind of get my voice, my experience out
Uh-huh.
there to other people, to kind of relate to and say, oh, look, I'm not alone. There is a person out there that is going through the same thing, or has gone through the same thing, and I can relate to her. I can, it's always helpful to have someone in your situation.
Right.
So I remember doing things frantically and forgetting some stuff and this and that. So when I listened to that video, I decided, you know what, I'm gonna stick to 5 things that I can do the next morning or the next day. But of course, when you have other things to do, not only your business, it's not possible. So I nailed it down. I scaled it down to 3 things which are manageable for me personally. For everybody else, it can be 2, it can be 1, it can be 5, 10. It does depend on their lives. That I do first thing in the morning after I do my mantra, for example. I get up and I kind of wake up with a smile.
That's right.
I'm happy for my life. And I'm happy for what I do. And then sit down and finish everything. Finish those 3 tasks. And every time I finish those 3 tasks, there's little things that you need to do around them. And you go back to them and so on, and you follow on, and you're being consistent. So consistency is the second thing that you need to be doing as a novice artist. The first thing, as I said, is managing your day, which is narrowing it down in the little chunks of work if you're doing something else. And the second thing is consistency, just going back. And that's one of that's another video that you have.
Well, let's unpack that one a little bit. I love it, and we'll share a little bit more about that. It's so important. Everything that you have shared. A lot of things that happen for you very fast, really quickly, right? So you just started 2018, 2019. It just looks like it came by a storm. You've been doing a lot of things. I love your positivity, saying I wake up with a smile. And that's mindset. You can have all the great opportunities in the world, but if you don't have the mindset to have that positivity, you're still going to see the world very differently. You can have all things against you, but if your mindset is in the right place, you'll see them as opportunities to take the next level, right? And I think I think your mindset, I love it. It's really in the right place. It's really saying, these are my circumstances. I wake up in the morning and I'm happy. I don't know what's going to happen throughout the day, what circumstances will come, but I'm excited for the day. And
I'm ready for everything.
Yeah, you're embracing it right away. And I love that you watched that video and you took action, right? Because a lot of times I fear that, and this all of us, right? Because I also consume a lot of content from other things that I'm interested in. And a lot of times we live in a society that everything is consumption. We have so much information that comes through email, that comes in social media, that comes through podcasts, that comes through everywhere. And so we get so much information, but really we're not really making changes or applying what we're learning. And in a way, it's better to learn just one thing a day. And that's kind of my goal for 2020, just devote myself to learn one thing a day and take action on that one thing instead
of a great goal,
instead of just accumulating more knowledge, but not really applying it, so like, what's the one thing I want to learn today and then apply it. And I think also, I love that you, as you said, you kind of reorganize your life so that you could focus on the 3 things a day, right? You say, okay, now I'm going to focus on those 3 and then go to my day. When those things are done, you feel good, you feel accomplished, right? I've been reading a lot about those things like morning motivation. And they say, like, people who do their bed in the morning feel better about themselves than people who don't.
I heard the same thing. Yes, I've read it.
Yeah, because they say, if you do your bed, it's like you accomplish something right in the first few seconds of the day, right? And even if you just push the sheets over to cover the the mess, that is something that is just kind of setting up your mind to say, today's going to be a productive day in which I'm ready to take it on and do the things that I need to do. And something, Aneta, as you move forward and as you look at, your goals for the day, also I think as you start 2020, start looking at your short-term, midterm, and long-term goals too, right? I think 2020 is the perfect time. So it's the beginning of a new decade, That's
Yes,
significant.
exactly.
That is amazing that we lived to 2020. I remember when I was a kid, 2020 sound like movies of the future, right? Now we are
Yeah.
here. I'm
Yeah.
much older now. I see my white hair. So I've been around for a while, and I cannot believe that we are seeing the change of a brand new decade. So it's a great opportunity to say, okay, what do I want this decade to be known for, right? Or to be remembered by. And, then look at your short term meaning the next month, just as you do your daily, your 3 things that you do every day. In this month, what are the maybe 3 things that I want to have done in this month? And then you look at 5 months, right? And that will be
Yeah.
your midterm. And then you say,
Yeah.
by the end of 2020, right, where do I want to be? What would I have want to accomplish? And it gives you short term, midterm, and long term. And then as you continue, then you start expanding that sequence where now short terms becomes 3 months, midterm becomes 6 months, and long term becomes 2 years. And then you continue expanding that where short term becomes 6 months, midterm becomes 1 year or 2, and then long term becomes 5. And then
That sounds lovely, to be honest. I haven't had
that
as
continues to
as
stretch your mind. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
But you got to start with the slower steps, and I think you're doing really right. And then after that, then you start looking at, okay, then also it's no longer just doing what are the 3 things, but also when you do when you choose those 3 things, looking at what are the 3 things, not that need to be done necessarily right away, but that will have the bigger effect on the short term, long term, and midterm, right? So for example,
Mm-hmm.
today I can pick updating my website, or I can pick, cleaning out the studio, or I can pick, whatever, right? But what is one thing out of those 3 that will have an effect on the goal that I have for midterm? So for example, for me, 2020, I'm building a new body of work, and I'm going to be sending a lot of proposals to galleries and museums for my next season. So maybe for me, like a little goal that relates to that long term is I'm going to start putting together my my proposal. Today I'm just going to do the cover, and that's it, right? That's the only thing. Not really thinking about this big giant goal, but just the cover is one small thing that relates to the midterm goal, right? And that,
Goal, yes. I have something like that that's
yeah,
going on in the moment, because I am as well, being a 1980 child,
yeah,
gives you kind of the gold nest in being in between technology and non-technology.
yeah, mm-hmm. In between the two.
My childhood was completely outdoors and
Yeah,
activities in one-to-one, very physical experience. And my children are totally different. But right now, my goal is to start up my website.
mm-hmm.
And I thought it's going to be easy, but
Yeah,
it's not. And I
right.
don't have that head on my shoulders yet. So I'm going through a lot of reading and a lot of
Research, yeah,
familiarizing myself with different terms and different routines and just technology,
yeah,
basically.
mm-hmm.
About having an e-commerce and a blog, it all combined, because
Mm-hmm.
as I understood, apparently it's 2 different things, and
Mm-hmm.
it consists of different sorry, and it
Yeah,
consists of different elements and factors.
right.
So I am doing that, and it takes me quite a while.
Yeah, that's a big one.
But I'm going to get yes, I'm
Yeah,
going to get there. I'm making a good progress, and soon I will have my website, and I hope it's going to start running before the new year or shortly
sure,
after.
right. Yeah, yeah,
Yes, that's my midterm plan, because
yeah,
I'm
good.
giving it at least yes,
That
at least months,
Right. And,
starting the end of last month, basically.
right. And one of the fun things, like with anybody who's working on a website, just like you, maybe if you're doing a brand new website for 2020, or maybe you are doing a big update to your website, anytime that you do a big change on your website, I always tell artists, that's a great time to make a big deal about it, because it's a big deal for you, right? But it could just end there because you're excited, it's yours. But that's a great excuse to then create a big deal to your audience, to say, hey, everybody, I just made a website, and then take them through the process, what it took to build the website. Because a lot of people out there, they don't know how artists live, what we do, they just go to the
Yeah,
website, it's already
exactly.
there. But, you make this as it's an excuse to also bring attention to what you're doing, because then you send an email to the people that have supported you over the years, people that give you your first show, that you talk about, the people that you have networked with in 2019. Make a list of all those people. And as soon as your website is up, you send them a personal message and say, hey, I am super excited, Michael or Mary, whatever, because I just launched
Yeah,
today my brand new website. Check it out, share with your friends. It will mean the world to me. And, most people will actually check it because it's a personal message, versus if you just post it in social media where everybody sees it and just keep scrolling, right? And then, then you start creating that initial momentum that can help you then continue pushing it forward. So always find opportunities
yeah.
to personalize even the aspects of the art career that, we might think that something that we got to do, but it might not mean a whole lot to other people, but it actually can. It can build a whole
Yeah.
momentum.
And
So
I think it's
that's
a good
great.
way kind of to get in touch on a personal level with people that
Exactly.
follow you and support you. So
Hmm.
it means a lot to them as well that you share your experience
Exactly.
and being honest with your experience. And
Hmm.
a lot of people that will follow you or want to follow you in your art career will benefit as well. So
Hmm.
you will give back to the community and
Yeah.
to your fans as well by sharing that experience.
Yeah, and think that there's all kinds of fun things you can do. For example, the day your website is up, you actually take your phone and then you actually do a
Mhm.
story in which you show people your actual website, right? And
Yeah,
show them, like, give us a tour. It's like
fun.
a website is like somebody's home, right? It's like your virtual home. So it's the artist's virtual space. So give us a tour. Or here you click here, you'll find this, and you click there, you'll find that. How you guys like it? And keep people engaged like that. I think it will really um, create that connection even stronger with you, and it all those things help even in the long term as you're looking at increasing your business and your sales and your opportunities, because the closer you are to the person on the other side, the more they will want to join and participate into what you're doing.
Hmm. Yes,
So
I agree with that.
tell me a little bit about how you're building your business, in terms of your sales and things like that. Like in 2019, what have you been doing for that?
Oh wow. um, okay. I've been doing a lot, as I said earlier, and
But
I've
meaning, are you selling it
basically
online or through social media or in person, that kind of thing?
in person. In person, I think art is very abstract thing, and it's very personal experience. So I'm kind of struggling on selling it online,
Mm-hmm.
but face to face and personal, like kind of physical experience
Yeah.
sells it best for me.
Mm-hmm.
For now, I want to sell online, and that's my goal.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, it's matching my circumstances and everything. But for now, I've participated in a lot of fairs and a lot of expos
Mm-hmm.
as well, and a lot of group exhibitions. One as well that's brought commission.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of aiming at the moment to get a secondary income
Mm-hmm.
by um, by having a textile and designer goods
Oh,
uh,
okay. Mm-hmm.
through different websites, like
Mm-hmm.
for example Redbubble.
Mm-hmm.
It's an Australian company that
Mm-hmm.
kind of puts the image of your painting or
Mm-hmm.
any other media that you do on their goods, which is pillows,
Yeah,
takes it out.
merchandising. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, you
Mm-hmm.
probably heard of it. That is my kind of second income.
Mm-hmm.
The third income is, for example, commissions.
Mm-hmm.
I've just finished one,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm about to kind of visit
Yeah.
the client's home
Mm-hmm.
after a long back and forward communication and visits on and off to
Mm-hmm.
their house. I've managed to finish the commission.
Mm-hmm.
It's just non-stop. I don't basically say no to an opportunity. I
Mm-hmm.
always try to kind of think of new ways to
Mm-hmm.
connect
Mm-hmm.
with different industries,
Mm-hmm.
even to say.
Mm-hmm.
I've tried in interior design, office design,
Mm-hmm.
um, which is entirely different environment. Um, I've visited what's it called? This kind of interior design festivals. It's
Mm-hmm.
called. I think, and I've approached a couple of companies which have given me contacts, for example, um, to inquire if they can print some of my
Mm-hmm.
designs on their uh, chairs or
Mm-hmm.
sofas or
Mm-hmm.
even backsplashes
Mm-hmm.
or um, worktops, office worktops, and so on.
Yeah.
I've received two yeses and one maybe. I think
Good.
yes. I think yes is better than no, and
Yeah.
definitely much better than maybe,
Yeah.
because you have to keep on coming back to them and asking them for
Right.
your answer. Um, um, as well as you have to just get very creative
Mm-hmm.
with your income. If you want to continue making things, you have
Mm-hmm.
to creative kind of financially be creative about your income, so
Right.
you don't end up, um, for example, in my situation, I can't afford to end up without paying my
Anything.
bills.
Right.
So I've done a lot of things here and there that are consistently bringing me income,
Mm-hmm.
and of course that makes it more difficult, as well as it takes more of my time, because you have to
Mm-hmm.
continue nurturing whatever you started. You can't just leave it there. Um, so yes, that's that's basically it. That's what I've done, and
Well, I think that's great. I think you got the right mindset too on that, which is a video I did last week on multiple income streams. I don't know if you
mm,
saw that one, but it's about, the art career today, looking at, income streams, right? How
yeah,
do I
exactly.
take my art career and create multiple ways of income coming in? So at the end of the day,
Exactly.
a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there. It all combines, especially as you're starting, as you start figuring out the sales part, the gallery system, and how you're gonna sell here and there. Sales can go really strong for a season, but then they can go kind of low in another season. So you always gotta plan ahead and strategize. And yeah, the looking at all kinds of possibilities is great, because we live in a world today in which there are options, right? 10 years ago, we didn't have the options that we have now. So
Yeah, exactly. Yes.
we all have options, and every artist has to decide what he or she wants to do. There are artists who say, well, I don't want to do merchandising. I don't want to put my art on pillows, and that's fine. That's one, respect his or her opinion. And then there are others who say, I'm going to do it, and that's fine too. I think as more as we go in the future, every artist has to decide, and we should respect the decisions of everyone, right? Because you are controlling your art career. You make the decisions you want, because there are today many opportunities for merchandising, and which makes it can be a recurring income stream, as well as licensing, which can kind of, like you talk about, a little bit of going into other industries. There are a lot of opportunities in licensing as well, and it's a lot of knocking on doors. if you see something and you get an idea, you have to go and knock on that door, and
Yes,
and they
exactly.
might say no now, and you might
That's
get
not
a,
the end of the
yeah,
world. You
you'll
continue.
get a
That's
lot
not,
of no's, but that's okay. You keep moving, you keep growing, you keep
yeah.
walking. One of the podcast interviews I did with Juan Lascurian is an artist from Mexico City who he figured out licensing by just knocking on doors and knocking on doors. Today, he has sold over $1 million of licensing products around the world. I mean, it's crazy, insane. He started on a Starbucks table, doing little note cards. And that's how the whole thing started. And then he just started visiting and knocking doors. And you can hear the whole conversation in my podcast. It's pretty amazing. And and not giving up, because you're gonna get a lot of no, especially as you go up, and then as even sometimes within other artists, you will find along your path that there'll be other artists who will tell you, no, Aneta, you're doing things wrong. You gotta go through what I went through, right? And there's a lot of people out there who are not willing to share, who are very territorial, who will not help, will not give you the yes, or will not tell you go this way or go that way, right? And it's a mindset of wanting to keep information, right? And at the end of the day, I think the reason I do Breakfast with Sergio and the podcast and everything else is because I believe should be the other way around. The more I give, right, the more I hear stories like you, Anita, that you send me a message, or just this week I got a message from an artist in Puerto Rico. I said, hey, I follow some of your advice, and I just sold a $7,000 painting. Before
Oh, wow.
nobody
That's
wanted
great.
it, and now, and so, those are the little stories that are great. And I found that the more you give, the more you share what you know, the more eventually the world is going to bring it back to you. And you sharing your story here on how in 1 year you've been doing many things right. It's a great example of that. Sharing what we know, sharing what we have gone through. Nobody has all the answers, right? Because there's no such thing. We just have to keep pushing. And when somebody says no, well, that's somebody's opinion. There are many others who I haven't tapped on that door just yet. So yeah, continue that. And as you're looking into selling online, which is again another frontier that you definitely want to look at. Yeah, people go and connect with you on a physical setting when they see your work on a show or an advert and so on. But it's limited to only the people that can see it physically. There's a whole world out there of people who, will start following you, will start connecting, will start, the process of also, as you build your online business, start buying from you as well. And to do that, you got to show up to that audience. Just as you show up to the show and so on, you got to show up every day to your
Yes.
audience. That's how they grow, and that's how they start connecting, and eventually that's how they start buying. If they see that you're serious about it, that you are really putting all your effort and all your energy into it, they'll say, hey, I love what Aneta is doing. I would love to have one of those paintings in my home, right? And that's how it happens. So
Yes,
yeah.
I agree with that.
So Aneta, so as you look at the end of 20, and we're going to kind of close with this question as we are wrapping things up, but as you look at the end of 2019, beginning of 2020, looking back, this has been an amazing year for you with so much great things. What would you say to an artist who is listening right now to this podcast, to our conversation, and maybe 2019 was not a great year for that artist, right? Maybe it's struggling a lot. There might be another self-taught artist out there, or maybe an artist who was doing great, and then all of a sudden they're not waking up in the morning with a smile, right? What would you say to someone like that, and that has motivated you, to start your career and say, I can do this?
Okay, it's hard to summarize. maybe because it's fresh.
Yeah.
You kind of tend to get easier with experience, which is
Mm-hmm.
years behind your back. For me, it's a bit fresh, but I
Mm-hmm.
can summarize maybe in 3 words. If you decide to do art as a freelancer, as a career of choice, something that you would have wake up and do every day with a smile, you will have to apply discipline. You will have to be consistent
Consistency.
and
Yeah.
accountable.
Okay,
To
so
you.
give us those three words again. What was the first one?
The discipline.
Discipline.
Discipline. That is getting
Consistency.
up early in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
doing your routine. That
Mm-hmm.
is sticking to those three things in my personal
Yeah.
view, or 5 for you, or 10 for you, whatever you
Mm-hmm.
can manage. Getting the job done and continuing with your day forward.
Mm-hmm.
That will bring you lots of joy and fulfillment, and will keep your drive strong
Mm-hmm.
and forward, basically, to develop forward.
Mm-hmm.
The second one was consistency.
Consistency. Yeah.
You have to be consistent in what
Mm-hmm.
you do. You never allow yourself to give up and
Mm-hmm.
to take no as an answer, and to
Yeah.
just give up and say, oh, that's the end, okay, I can't continue. You have to get those mental blocks that you've put in front of you
Yeah.
broken into little pieces, remove them, blow them
Right.
into little dust, and keep on going.
Right.
And the last thing, I don't know, accountability, was it?
Yep.
Yes. You have to kind of be accountable in front of yourself, which is the hardest thing to do, because
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, we are habitual individuals. Like, we are very comfortable in our habits.
Mm-hmm.
And if a habit stands in front of you that doesn't sit well with what you want to do, and
Mm-hmm.
how much time you want to give to a certain activity, for example, your business,
Mm-hmm.
that will prevent you from fulfilling whatever you have to do in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And that is the hardest thing, because these little neuron links that are created by doing the same thing over and over, it gives you this comfort zone that you feel the best in. But you have to get out of the comfort zone, so you can go forward, so you can develop, so you can open different doors that didn't know that they existed.
Mm-hmm.
And in a way, I did that with you, because I've never done that, and I was nervous, to be honest,
Uh-huh.
about this. But I went out of my comfort zone, and I'm really glad I did.
Yeah.
You're a very nice person to talk to. You're very kind of relaxing, and I feel kind of like a friend that I
Yeah.
can talk to.
Well,
Uh, and that's how you kind of win battles. That's how
right.
you keep on going,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how you develop.
Awesome. I love that. Discipline, consistency, accountability. Those are three amazing words that for anyone, three actually big words to keep in mind in 2020. I think maybe it's good to post them on the wall in your studio. Discipline, consistency, accountability. I love it. I think that's great. I think those are three words for a breakfast with Sergio. I'll borrow them. I'll call you in. Yeah, that's very good. And something that you said, I think also that's very valuable. You said, maybe you said, well, maybe because I'm fresh right now. And I love that, right? Because you have the energy of yeah, you're totally fresh. You've been, doing this, full wholeheartedly within a year or so, and you have gotten great results, and you have that freshness, which sometimes as you go over, the years, that freshness starts kind of wear out. Almost like when you go to a new job. The first week of the new job is everything's great. 5 years into it, like this sucks, right? But I think one of the great things that you can do and everyone can do is continue as you go through, continue to reinvent yourself, right? Reinvent yourself, give yourself opportunities to do something totally crazy, totally out of the norm, totally. The moment you start settling in, that's over. That's done. That's when negativity starts to set in. That's when jealousy starts to set in, because you see other people doing better than you. But it's just staying fresh. Is one of the hardest things to do in the long term of the art career, but can be done. Actually today, before coming to the podcast, I turned in the keys to a university where I've been teaching, for 14 years. And today, I had planned it today. I turned in my keys and said, thank you very much. It's awesome. but I also need to continue reinventing myself on a consistent basis, right? And that is the key, I think. I'm super excited to wake up in the morning to to do the things that I do, to have this conversation here with you and so on, and it just keeps us refreshed, right? Refreshed. So that's also a great one. Finding opportunities to refresh ourselves in different ways, staying connected to a community. So, Aneta, you have been so awesome, super cool. Now, tell us, where can our friends find you in social media if they want to connect with you?
Yes, I at the moment have 2 strong social media accounts. One is on Facebook, where you can find me as Dream Art Apartment, which doesn't make much sense.
Okay.
I know. It goes out of my name, which is Aneta Ten, which in short is APT for apartment. I thought at the time when I did it, it made much sense, but now it doesn't. I will change that soon, but everybody will hear about it. And the other one is Instagram, dreamart.apt_London.
Awesome. So on Facebook, Dream Art Apartment. I kind of like it. It's kind of a Dream Art Apartment. And then on Instagram is dreamart.apt for apartment, right? That is awesome.
Yes.
That is cool.
London. Yeah.
Awesome, Aneta. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I want to wish you great success in 2020. Keep it fresh. You have great spirit. You have a great personality. You have great, mindset, energy of how you're working and what you've been doing in 2019. I think it's great inspiration to many artists listening to today's podcast to see your story. And it can be done, right? It can be done. Then maybe there's an artist listening today who's been on the fence, should I do this? Should I not? Or maybe who has the other way around, who is kind of giving out about to throw in the towel. And, hopefully, this conversation has helped you move forward, continue looking forward to learn more, to apply what you learn, most important, as Aneta has done. And many times it's not about the amount of knowledge, but about the little ones that you can actually put into action that makes all the difference. Just more knowledge has never changed anything. It's what we do with it that changes the world. So thanks, Aneta, for being with us. Thank you again. And any last words? Mm-hmm.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome. Absolutely. Well, friends, thank you so much for joining us here in the episode today. Please share this episode with a friend. That's something that Aneta and I will be so excited, so happy if you do that, and tag us also on your Instagram or social media posts. Have a great day, and we'll see you at the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.